The first one is at the end of tomorrow, I will share around an evaluation form. If you could please evaluate me, that's going to help me with my certification. Be as honest as you want. And the second is I'm also recording. This is myself. It's not going to be recording you at all. And this is because we need to send about between 1 to 3 hours of material of us teaching. Whoever has to go through those, good luck to them. Good luck, guys. So there will be bits and pieces that will be recorded. And if you don't want to be in it, just avoid this.
It's not going to be shared publicly, yeah. Right? It's just for the purpose of her sharing her teaching. So
exactly. Perfect. That was it.
So let's go into a really nice one, which is the ground rules. There's not so many. It's just like we are setting some rules so we're all on the same page. The first rule is we know that you are still busy and might have to work, at least today. So we are kind of creating this space as a mobile phone, laptop-free zone. And whenever you need to answer something or so, you are very welcome. Just do it outside of the room, so we leave this place without it. You might see us with the phone once in a while, and it's more like for really stopping the time and stuff like that. We're not gonna do this either, so we're applying the rule as well. Another rule is the so-called Vegas rule. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and so it applies for this as well, because we will do a lot of sharing. And we ask you to keep this in this room. Of course, you will go home, you will see friends or partners, and you want to share what happened here, and it's totally okay to share the oval. But please don't share any personal stories, right? Don't share like, oh, this person said following, right? Because that's a really private space, and we want to make sure everyone can openly share here without feeling like, oh, someone is going to tell my story. Anyone against this rule, please raise your hand now. Okay, herewith I assume everyone is in. Yes. Another thing is take care of yourself, right? So we are not like, it's a bit like a teaching environment, but it's also not. It means in school you never were able to leave the room when you wanted, but here you can. So anytime you feel you need a break, or you just need to step out and just take some space, please do it, yeah? Let us know, so we are just like not worrying about, you just let us know I'm gonna step out, or if we're in the middle of it, you just go and take your time. And if you need anything, please, you can always come to us in the breaks. We're doing multiple breaks throughout the day, so you can come in that time. We're gonna have a lunch break at 12:30, right? So, and in between also a few breaks. And did I forget anything?
The toilets.
Ah, the toilets are there, right to the left at the end of the hall. Anything else? No? Yeah. Then let's start, huh?
Okay, let's start with the why. Why are we here today? Now, I covered some of these things in my introduction already. I mean, how many of us feel like this sometimes on an hourly basis? Right? We get pulled by, and you could even say like digital technology is great, but it has also meant that in this super connected world, we are always struggling for our focus and our attention, because it's always getting pulled in different directions. And it happens on a professional basis, but it also happens on a personal level. Right? This is just the way things are at the moment. And I used to always sometimes think that maybe it's a millennial problem, right? I can say it because all of us are millennials here. I used to think, well, perhaps it's a millennial problem, but when I see my parents right now, they are really struggling as well. Like, they're getting pinged on WhatsApp on a regular basis, and they're like, "Oh, I need to answer this," and this instant gratification, this requirement to instantly respond is hardwired into us, and that forces us to get pulled in many directions. One really nice way to describe this is describe the world it's a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. So VUCA. I think it's a military term actually, but it applies really well to the world we live in. How many of us or agree with some of these or feel some of these verbs or words apply to you? Now, in all of that, it's about, like I said, about half of the time we spend mind wandering, thinking about other things. Specifically to leaders, about 70% of leaders say that that they struggle to focus in meetings. And it's interesting they've said leaders because the research done was specifically included leaders, but I think most of us could relate to that. And most of us have been in meetings and have really struggled to focus on what's being said or what's being asked of us. And only 2% regularly make time for personal development activities. Now I want to say again, congratulations, you are one of the 2%, which is good. So great for being here, but that's again, you're a very small demographic. And in the midst of all of this, in the midst of all of these projects and getting pulled in different directions, your professional, personal life and so on, you're kind of left just wondering, who am I? And I really like how Munira explained this in the journey that she had. Right? Sometimes you just don't have this space or the time to even reflect on those questions. Like, am I being the person I want to be? Am I the son or the daughter or the parent I want to be? Am I the employee I want to be? Am I the leader I want to be? And not having the time is one challenge, and sometimes also not knowing how to even start with those questions. Right? What kind of tools do you have to help you answer them? And sometimes I even think that people, because it's such a challenging question, you somehow just prefer to ignore it and just continue on with how things were or how things are going.
So, in this world that is quite complex for us personally, but also for our surrounding, the question is what to do. What can we do to live with this complexity and also understand ourselves better, also navigate our life better? And the answer that we want to give you today is emotional intelligence, developing emotional intelligence. And so there's one, like Salovey and Mayer, they are like kind of the godfathers of emotional intelligence. They brought this up the first time. And they say it's the ability to monitor one's own and others' feelings and emotion, and to discriminate among them and to use this information to guide one's thinking and actions. So for me, one of the main points really was to discriminate between my own stuff and the stuff of others, so really like becoming aware of this. And also, what we suggest is emotional intelligence is actually a trainable skill. Daniel Goleman has written an amazing book about it, and in this book he also publishes a lot of research on emotional intelligence and what it means. Sorry?
I don't understand what it means to discriminate between...
Und zu unterscheiden zwischen meinen eigenen Gefühlen und dem, was bei anderen los ist. Ja. Wir werden we will also go deeper into this question later on, so we will really go into step by step. So Daniel Goleman, he says emotional intelligence has 5 areas, right? And he starts with self-awareness. So self-awareness is the ability to have clarity about what is going on with myself, right? And really have a clearer picture. And he says that's the foundation. Without that foundation, emotional intelligence cannot be applied. So you start with understanding yourself. And then from there, you can go into self-management, right? And so self-management goes into when I'm driven by things that are going on and I'm just becoming super reactive, to go out of a reactive mode and going into reacting in the way I actually want to react in every situation. And once we are there, it's also about motivation. So what motivates every one of us intrinsically, right? That what are our values, what is our vision of life, what is important for us in life. And very often we kind of know about them, but they are also very deeply ingrained. So sometimes things influence our behavior that we don't even know about it. So it's really becoming knowledgeable about what is it all that influences my behavior. And then empathy. So empathy is the ability to put ourselves into other people's shoes. And one of the big aha moments for me in empathy was it's also to understand when is this an emotion, my emotion, and when is it someone else's, right? For example, when you go into a room full of stressed people, even if you're not stressed, because we're so empathetic, just as beings as we are, we always pick up. And the more sensitive you are, the more you pick up on it. So just in that moment to understand, wow, this is not my emotion, I'm just picking up from what is around me, is also a skill to train and also to learn. We will go deeper into this in social skills. So the skills to have a difficult conversation, to work with others, to just be with others, right? Even if we are kind of like, I always say, like, I really like to be with people and I love community and I really want to find out how we can work together. And sometimes it's so challenging to deal with others, right? And then there's this tendency of, I just want to be by myself and just do it for myself, right? So it's always this tendency, how can we navigate things? So these are the 5 areas of emotional intelligence. And yes?
And are you going to share the slides with us?
Yes. Yes. So you will have all slides at the end, and I think Cashy will send them around. Right, yeah. So there's 3 benefits that we see when you develop emotional intelligence. The first one is outstanding leadership. It seems like, and I mean, the studies are really awesome that Daniel Goleman puts out there. He looks into leaders from around the world in different areas, and what he found is that the outstanding leaders were always people who were also intelligent, like they had an IQ, but they also had a really high EQ, right? And so some would say, yeah, that might be true for some leaders in certain areas, but definitely not for like technical leaders. But even in military, those leaders who had a high emotional intelligence were rated higher, and they were also the most effective leaders, which I felt like, okay, there's no reason why not to apply. And we all kind of know it. We all kind of know, yeah, emotional intelligence is important. But when we look into how we apply it into day-to-day, we look only at the facts, and emotion does not really have a proper place, you know? And so it's really about that. And maybe, like, if you think about an outstanding leader in your own life, what were qualities that you really loved about them? Just like, yeah, being free to talk to them, yes.
Feeling understood.
Feeling understood. Mm-hmm.
Being open about it and knowing that I'm not going to be judged for it.
Yeah.
Listening ear that is going to affect on a neutral position.
Mm-hmm. So someone who is curious about what you say but is not judging what you say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody who is also respecting me in being
Mm-hmm.
from the status, but there is a respect.
Yeah, so there's a respectful way of dealing and conversating and yeah. Anything else? What is your outstanding perfect leader? Yes.
I think a leader probably is in a hierarchy higher, but then when you meet that you're on the same level.
Mm-hmm. So he treats you like you're the same
And that really acknowledges that in some ways we are the
Mhm.
same and it's important
Yes.
to be. And
so he meets you on the human level of we are the same.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would just say for diversity, he or she.
He or she. Oh, yes.
I think also it's about being an example. So before you become a leader, you should show that, let's say, you as a person, you lead also your own self
Mhm.
or your own responsibilities or your own place in your work.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of, that's an example for an
Mhm.
employee saying like, look, this person is doing what she or he
Mm-hmm.